Hello again, my name is Hannah McCauley, and this is my presentation for Great Decision Article 4 on Media and Foreign Policy. So I thought it would be useful to start off with a blanket definition of media. So media can be concrete or abstract. The term itself is frequently used as an abstract concept that is the cumulative idea of all sources of information. However, the actual definition is more concrete, which is a medium of mass communication such as newspapers, news programs, apps, or anything like that. Another thing to consider for this presentation is that media is not always a right, or access to media, or really freedom of speech in general. Countries may ban certain types of media or certain content. An example of this is the Russian government under Putin that oppresses media and citizens' access to information. And then, although media may not always be a right, when it is a right, still, if it's completely unmonitored, it can be dangerous. For example, ISIS used to communicate openly with followers on YouTube. Now, YouTube isn't the only social media platform where terrorism has been able to thrive. One of the quotes in the text was, "Part of what was so diabolical about September 11th was that Al-Qaeda masterminded the attack so that the whole world would be watching when the second plane hit the World Trade Center." After September 11th, media provided a lot more coverage of terrorism because of the 24/7 reporting that was really necessary after that. Now, all outlets commonly use 24/7 reporting, which is great because you get access to information as it's occurring. However, thorough research isn't always possible because different outlets want to be the first to post a story. Stories break as soon as information is known, and it's not always verified. To fight terrorism on social media, the Global Internet Forum to Counter Terrorism was launched in July of 2017. That included major platforms such as Facebook, YouTube, Snap Inc., which is the parent of Snapchat, Twitter, Microsoft, and Google. And the goal was to substantially disrupt terrorists' ability to use the internet in furthering their causes while also respecting human rights. And this, even though it was, the goal was to stop terrorism, this was a little bit of a controversial launch because people felt like they had the right to post whatever they want, say whatever they want, and really see whatever they want on the internet, but that's just not the case. And as media and the internet continue to become intertwined with our daily lives, it's going to become an even more hot topic, I guess you could say. Social media doesn't just give terrorists a platform, but it also can be involved in other foreign policy. Social media is not the cause of violent extremism, but it's a powerful amplifier and accelerant. And that's a statement by the Center for Strategic and International Studies Commission on Countering Violent Extremism. And what that's basically saying is that social media can add fuel to a fire. It can make sides become extremely passionate, maybe even before all of the information is known. Social media can also be used for political sabotage, as we saw so clearly in the 2016 election. Another quote from the text is that democracies rise and fall on the public opinions of their citizens. And in the 2016 election, really one of the main causes of Clinton's loss was the Russian interference. The question in recent years has really become whether or not social media is protected by the First Amendment. And a little bit of an excerpt of the First Amendment, just as a refresher, is that Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech or the press or the right of the people peacefully to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. The First Amendment in general allows Americans to arm themselves with information that allows them to make informed decisions. The founders of our country believed that the American Revolution had occurred because of their rights were trampled on, leading to the formation of the Constitution and Bill of Rights. And then media has a lot of purposes now that it didn't have when the Bill of Rights was ratified. It always has been used to evaluate public opinion, but mass communication and surveillance have been two more modern developments. Donald Trump and social media is a very interesting topic. Trump's tweeting has altered the way that the media monitors the executive branch in reality. Most stations now have multiple real-time fact checkers. And although Trump's tweets may seem a little bit crazy, the timing is actually very strategic. He always posts in either the morning or the night, which allows his tweets to make the news cycle of each day, but also decreases the time to fact check his tweets. The dean of Columbia University School of Journalism, Steve Coll, once said, he, as in Donald Trump, has succeeded in creating a daily narrative in which he is the central figure. And one thing that is another very interesting social media implication in the 2016 election was when the scandal with Donald Trump his degrading comments came out. That was at the same exact day that the Russian interference was going to break. And he really was able to completely turn the media towards focusing on comments he said rather than this huge issue of Russian interference in the 2016 election. So his tweeting is very strategic. A couple more quotes that I really liked were, "The political information system is awash in more misleading or flatly wrong assertions than reporters can keep up with. It's as if President Trump has hit the journalism industry with a denial of service attack." Kind of just a way of discrediting the media. If Trump tweets out things that are false and they report on it as if it were true, that makes them lose credit. Another quote, former White House aide Anthony Scaramucci labeled President Trump as an intentional liar who methodically works to incite opponents and the media. Again, it's more of Trump's strategy, really, is focusing people's attention on things that aren't necessarily important, making people angry, making other politicians and media outlets discredited. It's actually a very interesting, very modern, and so far very successful strategy. In an interview with Financial Times in April of 2017, Trump argued that he owed social media for his presidency because social media gave him an unparalleled political platform, both at home and abroad, which is absolutely true if you look at how many followers really any candidate has. It gives them direct access to their constituents. So as far as media is concerned in the future, it's really changing, and part of that is because of Donald Trump. Media had always, or people in the media had always seen themselves as possessing a watchdog role. So they would serve mainly as a support arm of the state and dominant elites, focusing heavily on themselves and those serviceable to them. But now that we have social media where real-time information is available and you have direct contact to politicians, the media doesn't have as much of a watchdog role. It's more of a reactionary role. On-contract partisan commentators are often picked to speak over academics and other experts who formerly were used for in-depth analysis and explanation on news channels, which that's a really new development. Partisan commentators also add to the discredibility, if that's a word, of news, because you used to have academics and experts who were focusing on unbiased reaction and analysis of political events, but now you have partisan commentators who are often focused on minute details and really uneducated on some subjects. Media has always played a role in smear campaigns, but with direct access to candidates, it's definitely increased. And then I really like this quote as well. "Media, and especially social media, exponentially extend the reach of a brand and its message." And that really applies to Donald Trump, with him being able to just say whatever he wants, discredit whoever he wants, and no one can really do anything about it. But the people who do support him follow him religiously on social media. And then just another fun little fact was that all of the G7 leaders, other than Angela Merkel of Germany, have personal Twitter accounts, which allow them, of course, they're monitored by many people on these teams, but they're allowing leaders direct access to their citizens and citizens across the world. Finally, my opinion, social media is a powerful tool. I liked this quote as well. a free press that has distinguished us from other countries. We must stop those who try to silence dissent by silencing an institution whose job is to give voice to dissent. And then free press and free expression are one of the US's greatest foreign accomplishments. So really, I'm all for it. I think it's a person's responsibility to ensure that the information they're receiving is accurate. And although we have freedom of speech, and we should always have freedom of speech, again, it's our responsibility to educate ourselves and ensure the information we are consuming and spreading is accurate. So when monitored but not restricted, media, AI technology, other algorithms that are going to play a major role in the development of our country can really all be used to support democratic principles and a civil society. We just have to make sure that we set standards for what we're going to believe, what we're not going to believe. At what point does a news channel become as well known as the Global Inquirer versus Washington Post or something like that? You have to be able to draw a line, I think, between what is acceptable and then what is, to use a popular term, fake news. Ultimately, media can play a very positive role in international affairs, but it also can play a negative role. It really just depends. We've seen that with Donald Trump. Economically, some have considered Donald Trump an economic political risk, and they're kind of shying away from trade just because it is risky. And social media, especially if as unmonitored as some of his tweets seem, they can have a bad reaction. That said, I don't think Donald Trump has really any tweets that are completely unmonitored. As silly as that may sound, I'm not a big Trump supporter, but I think he's very strategic and he knows exactly what he's doing, trying to make himself seem like he's dumb, but he knows exactly what he's doing. He's completely rerouting media, and he's really changing how the entire process works. And here are my references.